What's happening, people? Welcome back to the podcast. We're in a new setting. We're in the G4 Studios, which is actually sick, by the way. It's cool as fuck. I've seen other podcasts in here, never actually been here myself. Before we get into this, I'm on episode 25 of the podcast, and I've made jack shit from it, which is, you know yourself, you're now paying for a podcast. It is fucking ruining my bank account, let me tell you that. I've been staying in quite a lot, and I need to find a way to sponsor the podcast. So instead of getting a Manscaped sponsor, I'm actually going to sponsor myself, and I've been thinking about making a product for ages anyway, and it's just going to be like a how to start the gym from scratch. I'll probably think a catchier name than that by the time it comes out, but what I'm going to do is in the show notes or in the YouTube description there'll be a sign up link for it, so whoever signs up to that will get like 24 hours early access and just guarantee that you'll see it, because with short form content I can't guarantee that I don't get fucking cancelled or censored by that time, because Instagram have done that to me, mate. Every time I swear they stop showing my videos and stuff to people. So just sign up to that email list, it'll be in the description, and that'll get you started. Right, we've got Dale back on the podcast.
What's up, man?
Not much, mate, apart from the fact I've just passed my test. I'm still actually a bit terrified. You've seen me trying to get in.
I've never seen a man more nervous in his life driving into a car park, to which he then stalled, which was the best bit.
Twice.
Wasn't even a hard car parking space to get into.
No, it was easy, but it was just
straight in.
If you can think about someone just trying to drive straight at 5 miles an hour, I couldn't do that. And I've never been in this town really much. I've been to Wishaw like 4 times, so I don't know the roads, and I was fucking terrified.
That's not an excuse.
Do you know,
no excuse.
Cuba, who works in the gym, I told him about me passing my test, and he was like, "Can I see your car?" And I was like, No, mate, I don't have a whip. I have my auntie's second-hand car that's an 06 plate, I think. And he was like, "Let me see it," and I took him out. I didn't even realise in the back of it, one corner's got like a hanging love heart.
I was going to say,
a hanging love heart. Then the next one, didn't notice this either, it's got a monkey just
I was going to
hanging.
say the monkey's the best bit.
It's got a monkey hanging in the corner, just going monkeying around, it says on it.
That's a fun guy there that's driving that.
Yeah, and I think I've probably repelled a lot of girls since I've came home when they ask me the question, can I drive? And I say no. And I think I'm on my way to repelling even more, by being able to drive. And also my dad was like, last night, we've got 2 keys for the car, right? We'll show you this. And he was like, I'll put a key ring on it so you know what it's yours. And this morning I drove here in the dark, didn't even look at the keys or anything like that. Then after showing Cuba what was on the back of my car, I looked at my keys.
I'd rather be shopping that. It's hilarious.
That's my keyring. So if I didn't already give you the ick, then I definitely have succeeded there.
Smashed it. How was your test then? So was it just plain sailing, or?
Well, remember I told you about the bustling? That happened within about 45 seconds. So I thought I failed instantly. Right. So I came out. If anyone knows Glasgow, it's like there's a road called, it's like in Baillieston, but it's a long straight like road. Mm-hmm. There's bus lanes. And every time I've been on lessons, the driving instructor just made me drive in the bus lane, so I just went straight into it. But I was the only person in it for about 3 miles.
Did the guy make judgment or anything like that?
No, but I asked her a really stupid question, because I watched about 8 hours of mock test before it, right? So I was mock test out my fucking nut.
Right.
And
you know your rights.
I knew that if I went the wrong way, you don't fail. So the sat nav said straight on, and I was in the bus lane, and I thought the bus lane made you go left. So I was like, she was like, straight on here. And I looked at her and went, can I just go left? And she just looked at me dead in the eye and went, no. Well, I just went, okay. I was like, I've failed. And you're a cunt. But she was actually sound after that. But I was just so nervous at the start, then I was fine.
Rest of it okay, Ian? Any minors?
Well, because I thought I'd failed, I didn't really give a fuck.
You were like, fuck it.
And I'm fine. I'm fine. But I didn't give a fuck, so I just was like, alright, I'll do this manoeuvre or whatever. And then junctions, I was fine because I wasn't nervous. And then she started to ask me what I do for a job. And then I started going, maybe I haven't failed.
Did you name drop yourself?
I'm the Gavin Mckinney PT, if you not seen me.
Do you know how many Instagram followers I've got?
I fucking hate doing stuff like that. Anyway,
so cringy.
I would borderline wouldn't even tell people I'm a PT these days, so I tell them I'm a lawyer or something.
And yourself up.
She started asking me questions, and then because I thought there was a chance that I maybe still had it, and there was 10 minutes left with the old leg, The old leg went, started shaking like fuck. I've never experienced that in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my leg
Just
was
nervous?
like vibrating. It was fucking terrifying.
It's crazy, like how you, because you come across in your social media as super confident, and aye, so you don't seem like a nervous guy. And even when we met for the first time last time, like straight away there was like, I don't want to be as cringy saying there was a connection, but it was like natural conversation that we had. But it's funny how like we are all human, and there's situations in life that just fucking get you in a nervous wreck.
Mate, when it's been, I'm 27. I need to drive.
That'll be why.
Well, I was actually more nervous for my theory test because I had to go to Preston to do it.
Remember you saying that?
That was
Fuck
more
that.
nerve wracking because I was like, I'd never want to come back here ever again. I've
What?
been there a few times and it's so bad, mate.
Is that what you have to do now, Preston?
You don't
Or is
have
that-
to.
or
It's
is that
just
just the
Glasgow's
next?
wait was so long.
Right.
Glasgow's wait was maybe 6 months and Preston was like 2 or 3 months.
Right.
So I was like, I may as well just go down and get it done because I'm not waiting. You can't get cancellations for 3D tests.
Yeah.
So I'd be waiting ages.
I done my theory in Motherwell. That's how, like, what age would I have been? 10 years, 10, 11 years
I
ago.
thought
There
you
was
could
a,
only do it in Glasgow.
well, this is before, like, there used to be so many testing centres, like, in many different parts of Scotland. They were all scattered out, and then they consolidated them all into these big units, but it was next to the police station, like in that back road, and it was just a shed. You walked in, there was 2 little petitions, and then you had a computer, and you just went for it.
Did you hear my story about the intensive course?
No.
I got chucked out my driving instructor's car.
Why? Oh wait, I think I did. You were saying this on your Instagram. But I did.
I've had a traumatic experience with driving, mate.
Jeez, oh, man.
Well, I've had one driving instructor tell me he was terminally ill, and he was basically saying he was dying, and it's been 7 years and he's
you
still
see
driving
him.
about.
I did. I was laughing at that. It was funny.
Is he
That's
going to die or
Just-
what?
And they're like, you should chat. You should try and hunt him down.
Shit.
By the way, I've passed my test now, but what the fuck, man?
Just
You're
send him a
alive?
text. By the way, mate, you're still about.
He just replies, "Oh, it's a miracle. It's a miracle."
Christmas miracle.
That's mad.
And no, so the intensive driving instructor, so took me, I gave them 600, no, I gave them like 150 quid as a deposit. They use that to book your test.
Yeah.
And then also they source the driving instructor for you. So they pretty much just get like 150 quid or whatever just to get the driving instructor. Took them 2 months to get me someone. Then his name was Jerry. I'm just going to name him, right? And I'll tell you he lives in the East End somewhere. I don't know where he
Fuck
is.
Jerry.
But if you see his car, I can't remember what it was. A white car. Jerry, beady-eyed fuck with grey hair. If you see his car, spit on it. So I got given him, and then you give him like 400 quid in cash.
Right.
And I don't want to work out how much money I spent like per hour. I just don't. I've not crunched numbers. I'm not prepared to do it because I've lost a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money this year, considering I spent 700 quid on that, and
Oh
it's
man,
now
I
worth,
can't believe
it's now worth 15 quid, mate. So I've lost and I kept on buying Ethereum as it went down, as it was going down every day.
That's it. It's gonna go to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
To the moon. Just keep telling yourself.
It's going to hell. So got Jerry. I was doing 15 hours, and he, after about 3 weeks, so you're meant to do 15 hours in like a week, and then I had like another 6 weeks until the test. So I wanted to do the 15 hours in a week or two, and then like just maybe do a lesson a week because I drove before, so I was like, I'll be fine after. But I don't think I'd have passed after 15 hours, but then I would have had time to do more. And after 3 weeks, we'd only done 8, and he'd cancelled on me like 4 times. He kept on like, one time he just texted me saying, Gavin, I don't know about your lesson today. We need to see if the roads dry up from the snow. Mate, it was 12 o'clock and it was 14 degrees outside.
Do you know what he sounds like? I know many PTs that sound exactly like cancelling sessions last minute. It's like horror stories, isn't it? It's nice to know that
It's just you can't be arsed, mate. Just just say you can't be arsed. And and he wouldn't give me a lesson after the lesson finished. He would just say, "Oh, you can text me." And I was like, I didn't realise how weird that is. You should just be telling me when the next one is. Or writing it in his diary. He didn't have a diary in.
That's
and
bizarre.
he told me to bring a notepad, right? So I brought a notepad for the first day out. See, that face, that's what I wanted. That weird, like, why?
You're driving?
Yeah. So he's like, bring a notepad. And I was like, all right. So I brought it for 2 of the lessons. Nothing got wrote on it. Not a single thing, right? So then
you take notes in.
he'd cancelled about 4 times. I can actually show you my messages to him. Mate, he also pocket dialed me like a month ago. just came up Jerry, and I was like, and it stopped straight away, and I was like, oh, I got angry there. I actually got a wee bit triggered. Wait till you see this, right? So I would text him, like, asking him for lessons and shit. I wonder if you can just see how much he ignored me. So this is the end, right?
He does not give a fuck.
No, so this is me trying to get lessons, right? So you can see he's just plain ignoring me, right? And that's 8 hours. Bear in mind, gave him about 450 quid of my money. And then the last lesson he came, I'd texted him, phoned him non-stop because he hadn't gave me a lesson. So he would ignore me for a week and not give me a lesson. So I texted him non-stop. I think he was fuming at the fact I'd chased him up so much. So see, when he turned up on the dot. And then I got in the car and he didn't say a word, right? He just was like, right, go. Yeah, you just tell. And I accused him of that after it, and he denied it. But I could just tell he was raging. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And he took me down these roads. Then I fucked up a roundabout. Funnily enough, I stalled at the same roundabout this morning because it gave me PTSD.
Right, this is it. I'm going to conquer it. I'm going to go, oh, fuck.
Yeah. And like, I basically came out and I nearly hit the curb because I like jumped forward and nearly hit the curb, but it was fine, mate, and we're going about 5 miles an hour. And he like dramatically grabbed the wheel. You know, I see driving instructors like dramatically coming over like, oh, fucking shut up, mate.
Leave it.
Get out my fucking way. And then he stopped me like maybe like 2 roads later, and he started like having a go at me. He was like, how can you not do that? This is your 8th hour and all that. And I was like, because I've been doing like 1 a week and like I haven't really been driving. And then you could see he'd lost his head, so he was having to go at me for like 5-10 minutes, and then I could see that he'd lost it, so I was just kind of sitting there like, that. This is bizarre. And I can get angry, or I can get, and my patter's best when I'm angry, but sometimes mad stuff comes out of my mouth, and I'm like, I better write that down for next time. But I'm actually like, my best humour comes out when I'm fuming. But so I was just like, don't say it, because you'll end up just arguing with him. So I was sitting there, and then he goes like, where's your notepad?
Fuck off. So you've not used this notepad in the 8 lessons? Right?
I haven't touched it. Literally, he hadn't wrote anything in it. I hadn't wrote anything in it. And I was like, my notepad is like, there's nothing in it. And he's like, why didn't you bring it? And I was like, because we've not fucking used it. And it's a fucking notepad. I'm driving a car. What am I going to do like that? I fucked that up.
I understand everything you're saying. Let me write that down.
And so then he was like, you know, for a personal trainer, like, you take no responsibility for your actions. Then he started lecturing me about responsibility, and I was like, mate, I am 27. You have not turned up to 4 lessons. And then from there on, it was just pandemonium. It was just madness. He just completely lost the plot. He was like, you're an ungrateful wee bastard. I just saved your life back there. And I was like, we were going 5 miles an hour, mate. I think I'd have been fine. I think I'd have survived the curb.
That would have been some good footage to get on the camera, wouldn't it?
The curb mount, I think I'd have survived that. Fucking hell. Anyway, the most embarrassing moment in my life, by far, is having to ring my dad after that and say, can you pick me up in Easterhouse? And my dad didn't know why I was in Easterhouse because he was out. And he was like, why in Easterhouse? And I was good, because my driving instructor has took me out the car, and that's where I happened to be at the time.
I was going to ask, like, how's that drive home? But I just get it. Was that pretty much?
Well, no, we swapped seats. Right. Because he went like that to me. He was like, do you want to walk home, or do you want me to drive you home? And I was like, well, I don't live in Easterhouse.
It's not driving me.
It's 8 miles away. So I was like, well, I'd rather you drive me home. And then we went round. And mate, see throughout the full time, because I was way calmer than him. I did have a few digs at him, but he deserved it. But I was actually calm. Like, I wasn't, even after it started, I was buckled when I came out of the car. I was like, that
what
is
the fuck is
so
that
bizarre. Like, I was actually laughing, whereas he was like, you know, like Red Ross and Friends. He was actually like full scale ready to murder someone. Yeah. So I got in, we swapped seats, because I couldn't drive either. I was like done with driving. And then he drove like a metre, stopped the car and started, he was like, do you know what? You're an ungrateful wee bat, and just started on me again. And I was like, mate, stop the car. Like, I'm getting out here. So it was like, he didn't chuck me out, but he did chuck me out. There was one of them was like, I didn't want to be in the car with him because he was fuming, and like we were driving down dual carriageways and all that. I was like, fuck this. And I asked him for some of my money back, and he tried to give me 100, and I was like, give me more than that because you owe me more than that. And he gave me like 125. He definitely owes me like another 150 or something. I don't want to crunch the numbers.
But fuck him.
But I was just like, just give me some money. And then I was like, give me some money and fucking retire after this, you old beady-eyed fuck.
That's mad. That's mad. It reminds me of a story when I was going for my driving test, and I was telling you this the other day. But one thing, so I think it's different how you sit your test now. I don't know what the intensive course is like, but my test was in Lanark, and I had a 2-hour lesson before it, and there was two examiners, I guess, is that what you might call them? So there was two people that you could get in the car with, and they would assess you on your driving. And my instructor got a phone call to say one had a family emergency, so there's only going to be one test on. We don't know if it's going to be you or it was another girl that was sitting the test at the same time. So I'm like, what we're going to do is would you just turn up and wait to see? So we're waiting in this place in Lanark, and it's a quiet place, and the guy walks in the door, or this guy walks in the door and just storms by us, and my instructor goes, that was the guy that was supposedly away to a family emergency. And I was like, please don't get him, please don't get him. So then he came out, the other instructor came out, nice guy, and he was like, I can't remember the lady's name, but say for talking, it's Louise. He's like, Louise, right, come on, you're with me. And I was like, fuck. And I seen him come out, and he didn't look happy at all. And I stood up because he reached his hand out, and I thought he was going to shake my hand. And I put my hand out to go to shake his hand, and he pulled his hand away, and then went, no, your driving licence. And I was, your provisional. And I was like, oh. And then right from there, I was a nervous wreck, mate. And then this is why, like, when we sat in the car and you're like, read that registration plate out. So I'm like, PL 14 whatever it is, and he's like, no, that one, the one next to it. And I'm like, fucking hell, man. Right, STX. So I was a wreck. And then he said, right, tell me how to turn the headlights on. And I just looked at the steering wheel, and I was like, I don't know, mate. the face that you give me, he just kind of looked at me and looked back at his clipboard and just went, scribbled in whatever shite. So I thought I bombed it, but surprisingly I passed. My instructor was in the back seat the whole time as well. I don't know if did you do that?
No, he just didn't want to be in there. I was like, all right. I didn't even think about it. He was just like, just tell him no, mate. And I was like, okay.
I don't know. Like my instructor, he was actually okay. But my instructor actually see during. So I learned to drive during the winter period, and it snowed one day. And I phoned him up, I was like, was the lesson cancelled? And he goes, no, I've got a really good idea for tonight's lesson. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm 17 at the time, right? He takes me to Strathclyde Park and starts pulling the handbrake, and he's like, I'm going to teach you how to correct an outturn. So we're doing it, like skidding and that. I was like, this is fucking amazing. And then as we're driving out to Strathclyde Park, he's like, you're no learner cars are allowed to go in there, by the way, so don't tell anyone about this.
Really?
I'm publishing this now. So this was 10 years ago or so. But he was a good instructor, but he was sitting in the back seat the whole time.
But that means that if he done something outrageous, your instructor can be like, here, that. Cause you can claim stuff, can't you?
Yeah, but this would have went against me because I never looked over my shoulder to turn out, and I get a minor for that. And my instructor said to me, should that not mean he's failed his test? And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I said, you fucking mad?
They might not have seen it.
And he was driving me home. He said, good on you, lad, and things like that. He goes, should have failed that though. You should have failed that. I was like, shut your mouth. You fucking, this is my opportunity. But I remember how buzzing I was that day, so it's a good feeling.
Man's still on a high, mate. Even stalling into that parking space, I was like, I don't give a fuck.
It's more like a freedom type feeling. I don't know. I guess you've...
Mate, I've been getting the 240 bus that goes from Wishaw, Motherwell, View Park, Toll Cross, Parkhead. That's not a nice...
That's not...
That's not none of those destinations have... people,
scenic views,
yeah, or like, real, do you know what I mean? It's, I mean, I love work. Like, I'm working class, but sometimes I don't want to sit next to a junkie. Okay?
No, buses are. They're, I can't actually remember the last time I've been on a bus, other than like the big coaches.
And the last week that I was before I passed, I got pissed on every single day. The weather's been horrific.
Oh my days.
See, before we move on, like I didn't expect to go through my driving. I was expecting that to be.
Thanks for today's episode.
Hope you pass your test. I was just expecting to get my key ring out and then move on. I want to throw you under the bus.
Go for it.
We've just both watched Andrew Tate's interview. Oh, this will come out like a week late. I might fire this clip up early. What were your initial thoughts? Let's preface this, right? Mm-hmm. So what were your thoughts on Andrew Tate before? Let's not go into it because you were on before, but just, I don't know if you're the same as me. I just didn't agree with what he was saying, or at least the clips. I didn't look into him enough, and I thought he ran a few Ponzi schemes, and I was like, I don't buy into any of this, and I do think it is negative. Like, he's going to have a negative impact on the world. That was my view.
So, as I was saying last time, I didn't really know too much about him, other than when people were like sharing these clips and that. I started seeing a bit more of him, and like you said, the clips that I was seeing was like the outrageous shit, and I was like, that clip alone in that time, now looking back at it, I'm like, that was just one little aspect. Before I was like, nah, that's not like, one, I didn't really understand why he was so popular, but then I was like, oh, maybe he's just saying that shit to fucking get hype, and maybe he's saying that shit because he's just, that's how you kind of break the algorithm to get popular, isn't it? So, but no, I didn't look into him too much, but I didn't understand like where his fame or like why so many people were liking him when I was seeing such negative clips or little snippets of what he had been speaking about in a podcast.
Yeah. And how do you feel after watching the Piers Morgan thing?
No, I'm kidding. So, for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about,
and also see, before you judge anything we say, don't judge what we say unless you go watch that interview, because you can't judge what we're about to say unless you've seen, and not even a clip that Piers Morgan's team have clipped up. You need to watch the full thing. Yeah, so I seen, this is how, the reason I watched it is because I seen a clip on TikTok. I seen a clip with him and Piers Morgan. I was like, I'm not seeing this guy. That's fine. I seen that clip and I thought to myself, I've not seen this guy in ages, like what's happening? And then I know how grueling. There's no quiet way to open biscuits, is there? Let me just get it out of the way. Right, there you go.
You're going to hear the crunching next.
No, come away from it.
But yeah, so I watched it, and I am very surprised on my take on him now. I think the man has a lot of integrity and a lot of pride from what he...
Misogynist.
So the way he handled himself through that interview, Piers Morgan, if you've ever watched any of his stuff, he gruels and is a very tough interviewer. And I do actually like Piers Morgan's stuff and what he does. I don't agree with all his points, but I respect his craft in the field and what he's trying to do with the uncensorship. But there was times throughout that podcast where I felt he kind of dropped the ball a wee bit, and Andrew had the upper hand in how he was explaining and communicating some things. So after that interview, I kind of kicked myself a little bit, because it's allowed me to, thinking back to the clips that I saw, I'm like, that was like the way he explained some of those clips. I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but not that I agree with the points, but I understand why he said what he said in that time. Yeah. Does that make sense? So, and look, and one thing that I can respect about the whether you like Andrew Tate or not, he went on there and didn't let his opinion or whatever he had, he stood by his own words and explained why he stands by his own words, and that's to somewhat kind of respectful.
When you actually listen to him explain it, it's not that outlandish.
It's not
at all.
No, it's not. I don't think, I said this on the last time we spoke on, I don't think he should have ever been cancelled. I don't think anyone should, because it's who should be judge and jury with what content you get to see? Because a good point was brought up about music videos and the kind of profanity shit that you would see on that. I don't think that shit should be silenced, but some of the stuff that he was doing, there's more outrageous stuff.
Do you know what I didn't like about Piers Morgan? I think he has suffered from people that are doing what he's doing to them, and it was a bit of like, here's your fucking medicine, mate. This is what you get for like being a two-faced bastard, because everything he's suffering from at the hands of the media, he's just literally putting the same hat on and then doing it back to someone else, and so trying to get popular on his own program from that, and everything he was accusing him of doing, it's like, you're just doing that right now, and you're coming across as a moron. See some of his points, the way he got to them, it's like, no, mate, you don't go from here to here.
Just skip over everything else.
Did you see the Alex Jones bit?
Yeah, so this is what I was going to say. So and he made the point. So I don't know what the word would be, but Piers didn't know what to say back, because he was defeated in the point he was trying to bring up, because it was along the lines of something like, why do you go on and sponsor or give more fame to someone who you know is not a good person? And Andrew Tate was like, well, I'm just being respectful of someone who's gave me respect back. Like, if somebody bumps into me in the street and says sorry, it's like, oh, no problem at all. I love that point, because he's like, oh, would you give Hitler respect? And he's like, that's got nothing to fucking do. And he's like, oh, in 1931.
Hold on, I'll time hop back.
Aye. But the point that he raised, if he bumped into Hitler in the street and he didn't know it was Hitler, then and Hitler would turn around and say, sorry about that, and he would reply with or respond with respect in that moment. So that was the point he was trying to make. But then I was like, why is this a point he's bringing up? So he was trying to kind of tarnish. But
and even stuff like that, right? Even if you actually break that down, this is, if Vladimir Putin came up and asked me to shake his hand, even stuff like that, I would shake his hand, because if I don't, I might die.
Yeah, because he said that when they go on his podcast, like when they have him on it, like he was talking about Putin coming on
like
the
that.
show,
And it's all these. He was making up scenarios that aren't going to happen, don't exist.
So
anyway.
extreme, yeah. And I think we were missing the point.
How did he jump from that to that? It's like,
I think Piers, the start of that interview, I think Piers Morgan does a good job, because I think the impression I got from him was, you're coming into your interview and you're giving this guy a platform because you've looked at his situation and went, I actually don't know if you're a good guy or a bad guy, and I want to find that out. And I feel as the interview went on, Piers was starting to recognise that, actually this isn't as bad as what it's been made out to be. And I think he's maybe tried to backtrack to kind of lay, I think he wanted him to say sorry. He was expecting to get an apology for him, and that's what I loved about the integrity he has, whether you agree with points or not, but he stood by something that he truly believes in and just stuck to those points.
Yeah. What I don't know enough about him, right? So see, I wouldn't like to then say stuff like this and then find out that he has, like, I don't know, because I don't, both, you're probably the same. I don't know about the whole reason he lives in Romania. I don't know. I don't really get it.
I think there's a ton of speculation out there, but I think regardless,
that's the stuff I'm kind of like, maybe ask him about that, because I feel like Piers just spent 45 minutes trying to get him to say sorry about the same things. And I was like, mate, move on. Just leave him.
I think a lot of people would have benefited to hearing.
He's like backhanded you with every single thing. As in, he's wiped the floor you for 45 minutes straight. At least ask him about something that we all kind of want to know about, like the Big Brother. Well, in fact, Big Brother thing, I think just blown out of proportion. But I would like to know what his dodgy Ponzi schemes before, because this is the stuff I'm like, if they're true, then fuck them. Do you know what I mean? Like, see the thing where he's, and I think it is true. So I'm not now an Andrew Tate fan. I'm more like anti Piers Morgan, because I thought he came across as a prick.
Well, I'm never a fan of like either or. I like what they do in their fields and stuff like that. But what it's got me to think about more is clips that you see, because we can be caught in this. Like, you could clip 5 seconds of you saying 100%. Something at the start. You'll be beady-eyed fucking like, look, who's Gavin speaking about? And it's like, Gavin hates all driving instructors, and then there's a tarnish. I'm an anti-monecrist now,
which I am.
But I think if one thing that the interview should teach everyone, if you do go in and watch it, is that take everything with a pinch of salt with social media. He does a lot of long form content, and he holds conversation well, he carries himself well, and he'll explain points.
He's a very good talker. He's very, very clear.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a clear head whenever he says, and it is actually impressive how he manages to keep his cool so much when Piers is literally just like throwing mines at him and being like, right, you take like right or left, and he'll repeat stuff back to him he never even said.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so that's what you think? And he's like, well, no, I never said that.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with what you've asked me.
The best one was he went with Alex Jones thing. He said to him, you went on his podcast and you endorse what he's doing. And then he basically said, so you agree with the whole Sandy Hook thing, which was a American school shooting, and how like Alex Jones basically said it was all a setup and all that. And he's like, so you agree with that? And he's like, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
I went on
spoke about it. They never done it.
I was not involved in it. And then he tried to take one of his other clips and was like, because he was talking to someone that's from, like, I don't know where they were from, like Saudi Arabia or something. He was trying to explain the culture, then he was like, so you endorse that culture? And he's like, I don't live there, I don't make up those laws.
Moderating the conversation.
And he's like, I have nothing to do with Saudi Arabian laws and don't live there, don't really understand it.
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying to put, like, that's not his.
And I think that's what the new mainstream media, which is TikTok and short clips and Instagram reels, I think that's the view and that was the point, and it was good that he kind of recognised that a little bit as well. So he was like, look, in hindsight, I want to change what I said, but I think there is a part of me that I need to maybe think about the power that he's got, because he's been podcasting, like long form podcasts, for years and years from the sounds of it. But see, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It doesn't, like, whether you support him or not, I don't think that inherently makes you a bad or good person. See, after we went on that podcast, so I had this negative view of him.
Yeah, well, if anyone didn't watch the first podcast, I'd slaughtered him like 3 or 4 times, and you even got me a picture of, like, as a guest to get me a present the first time I meet them. You got me an Andrew Tate thing, and it was like a satire joke that Andrew Tate was in the background.
I know. And so one of my close friends chatting away in the gym, and I made a joke, and I was like, oh right, you in the Hustlers University? And he blatantly turned around and went, yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, you mad? And he says, all the shit that you see him says it's all made up bullshit. I was like, what? So I'm arguing, going back and forth, and I was like, right, chill out. I actually don't know much about him. And then I asked him, I was like, is it worth being in that university? Like, explain it to me, because I thought it Ponzi scheme, make the tick clicks. He goes, there's multiple avenues. He's in it for the crypto market, the buying and selling, and he was showing me there was like 110,000 members in the whole Discord group, and there's different servers for like crypto property and all that, and he was in it for the crypto stuff, and he's making a wee bit of money.
Right.
Making a wee bit
Was
of
that
money,
the only reason he was in it? So everyone I've met, being honest, this is why I'm still not like convinced that he's a good guy, because everyone I've met that's in it has just been broken up with a girl and hates women.
No, he's in a strong relationship. He's just moved into a flat with
I've only met about 5 people, but they're like, oh, I love Andrew Tate, and I was like, when did you break up? Well, 2 months.
So there you go. But I think there's definitely a lot of traits of those negative clips that probably speaks to this person, because they are very blinkered on a type of approach. However, that wasn't why they went into it. They like, I knew there was a problem when in the group chat every GIF was an Andrew Tate GIF, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
I'm still fascinated by it all. I've got like a friend who's a girl who's like a social media marketer, and mate, she's like, just picture a fucking extreme feminist sort of like, you know, I just need to say that you've got it. Like she loves a debate about that sort of thing, and like she'll bring up Me Too arguments and all that. And I cannot stand those conversations. See, like an actual, I can have the conversation with you because you agree with me.
when there's the backfire.
It's not. I just don't like the style of conversation. It's purely debate, and I don't even like Jordan Peterson. But yeah, I remember him saying something like the interviews that he does where he gets interrogated. He's like, that fucks up his life for a week. Like it's that stressful. I just don't like having those debates. I just don't see. I just don't like having to really see when someone's looking at every single, like what Piers Morgan was doing, looking at every single word and try to take it out of context. I hate that.
Isn't it? Well, personally speaking, for me, I hate them because I'm not intelligent enough to argue back. I don't have the brain power. I'm not good enough.
I don't know anything about politics. I'm voting
rewording conversations and saying the right, like it just is too much mental capacity for me.
I'm voting independence for Scotland because English people have shite patter.
That's what it comes down to.
That's it. We're funnier, so let us be. Vote
for Gavin.
Raging English women in my comments. I've openly said that to a few like English clients. I've had to go, you're funnier than you. So
is that?
Yeah, I say stuff like that. Yeah, my clients understand that when they come on with me, they're going to get the same person.
So my good mate Sam has moved up from England. He's gone out with Gillian's friend, and so he's moved from England. He's moved up to Scotland last week, and we've just been like roasting him in the group chat. So it's my brother and it's all like my group of friends. So he's kind of came into that world, and they're all like, right, you need to start your sentence with "What's up, Shagger?" We want to hear that word come out your mouth, that phrase come out your mouth every time you meet somebody.
Until yourself just Shagger.
That's it. So, we definitely are funnier. So shut up.
That's why I actually used to do that to one of my exes.
Did you?
Like, does I Shagger?
Let's get to it.
She hated it.
I know
another thing I used to do was I would stick on the song "We Need Some More Girls in Here," and I would just sing it, and I'd look at her straight in the eye.
Is it Skepta?
I think it's one of them, and we call that "There's Too Many."
Too many.
Just be me and her. Have my top off, swinging about.
You're not painting a good picture here. Like Andrew Tate, views have changed, and then you have to be, more women have to be surrounded by you.
Fuck it. Absolutely fuck it. Do you know what I said to you as well about how I've been speaking a lot about, I done a video the other day where I was talking about how I've done way more embarrassing things outside of the gym, and I was just, did you manage to think of any stories at all?
Of me? There's a few interactions with clients, and then there's a few interactions that I've done
with clients as well. Right, so we'll actually preface this before. So I just want to make the point that, because this will be a wee bit helpful for the gym, but it'll also be like a podcast conversation. I don't really want to do like too much like full on fitness topics. I want to like have a laugh as well.
Aye.
So the whole point is, if you go in the gym, it's not as embarrassing as you think it is. Like, it's all in your head, and there's 10 times more embarrassing things that you can do outside of the gym. Nothing will ever be as bad in the gym. If you're talking about clients, one of my first 3 sessions, I can't construct a sentence under 7 hours sleep.
Right.
I just can't. One of my mates is the same. Like, my words will get mumbled. If you've ever heard me doing a podcast, you'll notice that like my sentences take longer and stuff. I just can't formulate the words in my head before I say them. And she came in, and I just tried. See, when I do a free session with someone, I just try go through compounds, teach them something. I don't do like drop sets or like take into failure or whatever. I'm literally just like, it's more like a tutorial and like a
movement assessment.
Yeah.
See how they can move. Yeah.
See how they can move, and try to get them to come away with like 2 or 3 cues that they've learned. So like come away with like, if they could do a dumbbell Romanian deadlift, I might show them a barbell, just see where their level's at, but give them something to come away with. Like, fuck, I couldn't do that before. That's all I tried to do. Tried to get that point across to this girl. I was 5 hours sleep, and I said, I'm not trying to fuck you really hard.
First time.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This was within about a minute and a half of meeting her. She hadn't done an exercise yet. I was trying to get the point across that I wasn't going to put her for a grilling session, and I said to her, I'm not trying to fuck you really hard.
How did she respond?
It was one of those where we both just kind of acknowledged
what was said and moved on.
Yeah, that we both knew I never meant it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no point bringing it up. And we just went, so, goblet squat.
Moving on.
And I thought, it's one of those as well. Once it comes out your mouth, it didn't leave my head for the next hour.
Yeah.
She was sitting doing a goblet squat, and as soon as she turned away from me, I was just like, oh my God, fuck my life. That one of those.
That's mad. That's so funny.
What's your client one?
So there's a couple of client ones that come to mind. There was one, and this probably happens more often than not, but I try. I'm not an awkward guy. Anyone that meets me, I can get conversation out of anyone, regardless of who the person is. And there was one client that we've been training for a long time, and we moved from training in my garage to up at Gym 24, and we're in the squat rack. We're doing overhead presses and stuff, and we're going for heavy ones, and then he pressed in this loud fucking ripper came out of his arse, right? And I was like, just play off, pretending they see it, right? But there's a mirror in front of us as well, and he didn't make any facial expression. I was like, oh, maybe it wasn't that. And then he re-racked, that way there's like awkward tension there. And I was like, you see somebody's like lips start to smile a wee bit, and I was trying my hardest not to laugh, and I just burst out laughing at him, and I feel so guilty for doing that. But we had a good laugh and a wee bit of banter, and I was like, look, happens all the time, mate. I was like, I fart every time I squat when I don't. I was just making all these stories up to make him feel better.
I find it very hard not to when I'm doing core. Like abs.
Depends on
if my legs are raised. I'm open.
So there's one time, this was 5-6 years ago, I just started getting into squats, and I was putting some good weight up, and one time I went, then I felt like I needed the toilet, but I was low on a squat, and I was pushing hard, and as I came up, there was like a weird...
I can hear your belly
rumbling.
I thought you were like adding to the story.
My belly was making these noises.
In these headphones, you can hear everything. As you were like talking about noises,
it's because I've drank so much coffee. But as I was coming up, something just didn't feel right, and then I was like, that was a weird fart, that one. I was like, that wasn't nice. And I was like, I'll go to the toilet, and I'd actually shat myself. A bit of jobby, it came out my bum on a heavy squat, and I was like, I need to go home. So thing is, I'd left that squat rack set up, and I just grabbed my stuff. The guy's like, is he coming back? He's going out the gym.
That's fucking disgusting.
It's horrible. Horrible.
I've got another client story, but it's not embarrassing for me at all. I don't know. She won't hate me for saying it, but it's just one of those I should keep to myself, but I'm not going to.
It's entertainment.
Well, I'll tell you one thing she's done before. I had like a 1 to 2 session, and I asked them to put the weights away, and then she came back. I'm not going to name her name so that it's fine, right? But it's the same person. The next story is the same person. And she came back, and she started doing the next super step, and like a golf ball was coming out her head.
Oh no, she had it.
And I was like, oh, fuck.
Sorry.
I'll mute that. Just said her name. Just don't say her name. Anyway, right, so she came back and there was a golf ball coming out her head. And I was like, no. Put the weights down.
What's happened?
What's going on up here? And she'd walked in, like as she'd put the weights at the squat rack, she just walked into the other bit, but didn't even like stop, just walked on. And for the next week, she generally had the golf ball coming on her head, and it went like yellow and all that. Then Same client, right? I'm actually going to mute. Derek. I'm going to mute her name because that's awful, right? Maybe like 3 weeks later, cause I was getting the bus, I'm walking to the gym. I was walking up one time, and my gym's weird. Like, there's a road, and then it's in an industrial estate,
right?
And a van just pulled up where I walk. So I don't walk through the industrial estate. I come up like a back road, and a van stopped. And then I was maybe like 50 yards away, and I was like, "Is that my client?" And she got outside of it and walked up, and I was like, and it was 7 a.m. She got out of a van. She doesn't drive a van, mate.
Side door.
Yeah. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I was like, I don't know if it was her because I was too far away, but I was like, if I go up there and she comes out the changing room rather than the front door, I was like, it's her. And she comes out, and her eyes are bloodshot as well, like really red. And I was like, where have you came from? And she was like, what are you talking about? I just got here. And I was like, no, you never. You came out of a van about 10 minutes ago. And then, like, obviously, long story short, she like went out the night before and she went back with a guy, but she was like, she was trying to deadlift at the start.
Oh my God.
And she was like, well, we're going to do a deadlift. And I was just sitting on the weight. I was like, no. We'll leave deadlifting for another 10 minutes. Who's that?
I want to get into this. Yeah, fair play. Still no. That's a cancellation excuse right there. But she went for it.
She's never cancelled, mate. She's actually came in tipsy about 3 times. She's not like, she's been on with me for like 8 months. So she's
foundations are there.
Yeah, she's always 5 to 10 minutes early. She probably goes out like once a month, and she still turns up. I don't care if you're a wee bit tipsy when you come. I actually don't care. It's probably not. And I just like give her a slightly easier session. She's made ridiculous progress.
Yeah,
ridiculous progress.
And that's the beauty when you're starting out. Like, no matter what you do, this is milestones from milestone.
Yeah.
In
Go
terms
out,
of
get your hole on a Sunday, steam in, come in,
deadlift on a Monday.
Add 2 kilos to your deadlift. Shit.
Talking about client stories, one of my clients, she'll hate that I'm telling a story as well, and she'll only know it's her. But it was one of the first time. Let's call him. Derek. we'll just no preference. Okay. Is it he? Is it she? So everyone can guess. But this was one of the first times meeting, and I do a movement assessment, so I like to see how far your knee can travel with your toes.
Not fuck them really hard.
Not fuck them really hard. But she went to lift 1 foot forward, and she fell backwards and done a backwards roly-poly. And so it's the first time meeting it, and I don't know how I managed to do this, but I never laughed, and she was mortified.
Oh,
but we're at the stage now, so I use an app called Trainer's Eyes. You can add your own exercises and stuff. So I add the exercises in, and I've named an exercise backwards roly poly, and it's like squats or something like that, just to kind of bring that banter back. But that's probably for that individual the most embarrassing thing that's happened in the gym.
One of the people that commented on my stories said that he was doing I think he just got his own program, and it was box step ups, and he thought it was box step overs. So he was
trying to step over the box.
Yeah, he tried to step over the box, landed went too far, and just fell over the other side.
I fell a few times in the gym as well, but I don't find that embarrassing. Treadmill. Have you ever? So on the treadmill, I used to do sprints on it, so I'd go about 20 miles an hour, and then I'd jump to the side, jump back on, run on it for 15 seconds, jump off, and then one time I jumped on, I just lost my footing, and I did slide off, and I see the burn on my knees. It was terrible, but see, like, because it was in a pure gym.
One.
You see that on all over TikTok, but see in the pure gym, like, they've always got like fucking 20 treadmills, so I'm looking up at everybody, and everyone's just looking at me, trying not to laugh. But
this one isn't that embarrassing. It's actually more embarrassing for the other person. This one's bizarre, right? I still don't really understand how it happened, but for a backstory, I went to Asia for 2 months, right? Drank probably every single day. I came back, and for the first 2 sessions back, I actually went running after it, like just a 2-mile run, and I nearly died both times. The second time, right, I tried to beat my time, and I thought I was going to die, so I like crawled to the other side of the gym and lay with my head in my hands on a bench that was way outside the weight section. And then honestly, mate, the next second, maybe 3 seconds later, I'm on the ground, and it feels as if someone has just haymakered me from behind, like on the back of my head. I mean, it felt like someone had just came up and actually cracked me as hard as they could. So I got up thinking I was about to fight someone, and I was like concussed as well. So I actually got up like not fuming. I was like confused and also had my hands up, thought I was going to fight someone. And this guy was just standing there with a barbell.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah,
Scalped you.
but the worst thing, the squat rack is in another part of the gym. These benches are next to like free rowing machines, so no one really uses them. That's why I went over and sat there. No one's there, and then there's like a studio room. So he's took the bar out of the squat rack, walked another like 20 metres to go to the studio with a 20 kilo bar.
Dinked you on the way.
Went to walk round the corner and just cleaned me out on the corner of the back of my head. And then he said sorry to me for about a minute, and I wasn't even like acknowledging his sorry. I was just like staring at him like, what the actual fuck are you doing with that here? And why have you just cracked me around the head with it? And then I was still fuming, and I just went and sat on another machine. Like I sat on like a lat pull down. I was like, I don't give a fuck if anyone's not using this. I'm not sitting there and fucking spanked with a barbell again. That's mad. And watched him go in the studio, and like I don't want to be a PT slagging what people done, but he started like doing this wrist movement with a barbell, with a 20 kilo barbell.
Like, why there?
And I was
out of all places.
And I didn't even know what I was doing at the gym at that point. I just knew that was fucking stupid. I wasn't a PT, and I was running. I didn't know anything about weights, but I was like, that's not a thing.
It's like that probably sent you on the path to become a PT. It's like, I need to do something to change this.
I couldn't. I think I should have went to hospital after it.
It would have been.
I think I was concussed, and I couldn't sleep for 4 days because it was on the side of my head, and I sleep like on that side. Yeah, couldn't sleep.
That's mad.
And I seen him like the next 2 or 3 times I was in the gym, and then never seen him again because I think I stared him down that much.
I don't know what you would do in that situation when you hit somebody.
Yeah, it was so sore. It was actually like agony instantly, and like I could feel it throbbing straight away. Like the end of the barbell, man, it was fucking agony.
You ever seen anyone in the gym that fails a bench press or like the weights fall off each side and things like that?
Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of them.
James has got a couple on his Instagram. He was up at, before he became a PT, he was squatting, but rather than squatting into the rack, he turned round to squat out of the rack, if that makes sense. So he's back. So you know how the JPEGs that hook in. So normally you go in, you take them off.
That's always a bad idea, man.
Yeah, I think he was doing it so the video could see him or something like that.
That's always a bad idea.
But it's on his Instagram, it's hilarious. And he turns round and he's gone, does his squats, a heavy set, and then he goes to go back and he doesn't know what to do. And he's just...
I've got a few. I forgot. There's so many things that I used to do from freestyle that were, because I videoed myself all the time. I've got so many like horror stories with not horror stories, but so many things that happened. There's a clip that went on like Soccer AM and went viral. It's me doing like sit down freestyle, and it's
so funny.
News. Have you seen it?
I've seen that. You were, I think, when I was listening to your podcast before, it was like episode 2 or 3. You were talking about it, and I was like, I'm sure I've seen that clip, and I had seen that clip before, but I never knew it was
There's about 3 or 4 clips that people have seen on the internet before I started PTing, that they don't know it's me. But it's me.
Just looks like a young kid.
There's just about 4 ridiculous things that have happened to me. So like a newspaper keeps on flying up to me, and I'm trying to do like my freestyle trick or whatever, and it keeps on just tickling my leg, and I get fucking fuming, and then I throw it behind me, and the wind catches it. It defies physics. It comes all the way around and then just lands on the camera, and you can see just before it's about to land on the camera, I'm like, surely fucking not.
Just watching it.
And then there was another one where I was trying to do like this handstand thing, and so you like flick it up, do this handstand. I was in like a studio in a gym. I didn't know where the ball was because I was trying to do a handstand. So the ball flies up in the air. It hits, you get in a studio, you get those panels and you can take them out. Hits the panel. I don't know where the ball is because it's hit the panel. Then I look up to find out where the ball is, and the panel falls and hits me in the eye.
Fuck's sake.
And I just got like knocked out.
That's funny.
Have you got stories outside of the gym? Just anything
I was trying to think of that just now. Nothing's coming up to mind, but like there's been many embarrassing like things that have happened throughout my life for sure. I don't know why this one I'm mortified that this happened, because this was only 2-3 years ago. We used to live in Nottingham. We used to drive up all the time, and then the last time we were moving all the stuff up, so I hired a big van and I'm driving up, and we drive by one of the last service stations, and I'm like, I need to piss. And I was like, I really need a piss. And then I'm holding it in, and then we're driving up to my dad's, so we come off the motorway, and we park up, and I had to stop. I don't know why I had to stop for some reason. Oh no, I was because Jillian was driving by me, and I phoned her. I was like, I'm going to stop at this next roundabout, and I'm generally going to piss myself. I need to jump out the van, but the van is like, it's a high, like there's a couple of steps down onto the ground.
Yeah.
So I jump out the van, and my phone goes to fall, and it's like my body had this tense reaction to hold my pee in, but I forgot about that, and I went to catch my phone and pissed myself. Jillian's parked behind me, and I turned around and looked at her, and she said, what is it? And I was like, I've just pissed myself.
I feel like you've not got control of your bodily functions.
I know, it's not. That's why I was like,
shit myself since I was about 7.
Honestly, I can't believe that happened. We're going to my dad's as well, and I was like, don't fucking say a word. Like, just my dad's like, you're right. I mean, I need to use the toilet, and I went upstairs, check my boxers. Luckily, we were moving stuff, so I had a spare change of clothes. But I was actually, I was like, I can't believe I'm 27 years old and I just pissed
27.
myself.
You pissed yourself.
That was 27.
How do you not know how to hold it in?
I was holding it in for like an hour and a half.
It does. It hurts, doesn't it?
It was at that point where it's painful, and you're like, and then
it's at that point where you think that like there's nothing worse in the world ever, isn't it? When it gets to that point,
it's like I don't know why when you get closer to a destination it gets worse and worse and worse. So this is like 2 minutes from my dad's house, but I'm like, I can't make that. I need to pull over. She's like, right, just pull over at this bit. So I pulled on. She parked behind me, and then just all went. I caught my phone. I was like, yes. I was like, fuck. So I thought my phone was going to smash. So that's one that jumps out. I'm sure there's been many others for sure.
I'll tell maybe one more. Mine, because I told quite a lot of my Instagram stories, so I'm really bad at telling stories if I've told it recently. Do you know what I mean?
Like people were telling you. Like people were giving you stuff that you'd done. You're like, I can top that. I can top
shite stuff, mate. Well, I sleepwalked and went in the wrong room. Like I was like, I have millions of worse ones than that.
Speaking of sleepwalking, James would share this one. Very recently, I think it was a couple of months ago. We were just speaking about this morning. He was in that deep asleep. He was climbing, and he woke up and he was trying to climb his curtains and ripped his radiator and his blinds off the rented place that he stays in, and he's not got that fixed because he was talking to these. I've not got a radiator in my room. I was like, how? And he's like, remember I was sleepwalking? But he was climbing in his dream, and he woke up to ripping the whole fucking function.
Me and my dad are sleepwalkers. I got my tonsils taken out when I was 8. I used to sleepwalk all the time, and now I've only done it a few times when I was drunk, but my dad's a sleepwalker. My dad, apparently my mum said, we used to live above a pub.
Back up, is it? Did you say your tonsils taken out? Like, what's that?
When I was like, my tonsils? Do you say, what is that?
No, I know that, but like, is that because you were sleepwalking?
these actually,
no way. I thought you were like, I got my tonsils taken out, I was waiting. No, I don't sleepwalk.
Yeah, no, that's
really?
The thing.
Well,
that's what I get told when I was 8, and I've always kept it in my mind.
So new information for me. I was like, well, wait, you've just brushed over it.
Let's Google that, because I swear the doctor was like, yeah, you won't sleepwalk anymore because you've got no tonsils, but I've always just had that sit with me.
What the fuck's that got to do with sleepwalking?
Sometimes I make stuff up.
I think it's
even I make it up. I've just believed something stupid for like the last like 15 years, and do tonsils make you sleepwalk? Man, Googles, man. Do tonsils make
It's like the one where if you get water stuck in your ear, you can't hold your balance or something like that.
Is that a myth?
No, I don't think it is, because I remember on like Russell Brand show or something like that. Is it right?
I don't think. Can your tonsils affect your sleep? It's going to make your. I think I might have made this up.
I don't think it's
not even coming up.
Maybe to do with the quality of sleep, but I'm sure that's why.
Listen, placebo effects are real. He told me I wouldn't sleepwalk, and I stopped sleepwalking. Anyway, my dad. So that's so fucking weird. It's like I used to think I was a lonely child as well, not an only child.
So thanks.
So I would tell everyone I was a lonely child. Also, when I was in school, so I'd tell them, my teachers, I was a lonely child. And then I also didn't know, so my dad was self-employed.
Right.
And I kept on telling, my teachers would ask me what he does. I'd be like, he's unemployed.
All right, it's gone. One of them, okay.
This explains it all. But so they lived above a pub. So I was born in London. My mum and dad ran pubs for like 8 to 10 years or something. So we used to live above the pubs. And my mum said one time she woke up to, this is going to sound dodgy, but he was sleepwalking to the cleaner that lived there as well, like shouting, what the fuck? And it was because my dad had went into her room in his boxers in his sleep.
Oh my days.
Like she would, cause it was a pub. Like she wouldn't have locked the door or anything like that because it was just the 3 people that lived in it would have been people that worked in the pub. So it was kind of just like a house. And then there was one time they stayed at like my auntie's on my mum's side, and my mum woke up to like rustling about, and she followed the rustling. And my dad was in my wee cousin's room, she wasn't in it, but she was like maybe like 6 or 7 at the time, and he was pissing on her dolls.
Have you done that? The drunk pissing? Like,
yeah,
you must have had.
Even when I'd done the sober one when I was like 5.
All right.
I mean, I was really bad for sleepwalking. My mum would wake up and I'd be pissing on the front door and all this.
My brother was a bit like that, but I remember it was my 21st, and I went back to Gillian's mum's after it, and I just remember like coming to, and she said, Dale. And in my dream, I heard like water running, and I can remember the dream. It was like I was at a fountain or something like that. And then
because you're dreaming when you're doing it, aren't you?
And I woke up, and then my hands up.
You
at
must
the wall.
have big tonsils.
It must be because I have massive tonsils. So I wake up to Gillian going, Dale, and I turned round. Me and Gillian have been going at maybe a couple of years, so still that weirdness that I've never peed in front of her, but I'm butt naked, right? In front of the end of her bed against her wall, peeing into the bin. And I was like, and I snipped it and went to run through it, and piss is just shooting it. This is our mum's flat as I'm running through the toilet, because there's no way you can stop it. Like, guys will understand. The guys that are on the
once it's out,
it's just going. So I'm like, try holding it, the piss is just but there you go.
I've got 2 more, but there's one that I just don't know if I want to tell, because I've been like telling a lot of things that I just shouldn't be coming out. Like I just told a story about how I used to, when I was like 13, I'd done a Google on how to make your willy bigger, and I was stretching my willy.
See the wheel you done? I was watching it, and I think James was in the same room, and we were dead. Like, people were coming in. I think actually one of our coaches, I think it was Jodie, came in and was like, that is Megan. And we were laughing that hard, and it's like, guys, don't actually do that. And they're like, guys, definitely do that. That's why we were laughing so hard, because we could relate, because we've done exactly the same thing. It's like if a guy's telling you he's not done that, he's lying to you.
Oh, have you done it as well?
Because you're like, makes sense. Like,
stretch the skin.
Stretch it up. And then I remember looking at articles like, it's like milking a cow. Just milking what I'm talking about.
Right, I'm going to avoid one of the stories because it's too far. The other story, which is very PG, this is what I mean. This is like the tonsil thing as well. So when I started working in a bar, I'd done so many stupid things. I'd never worked in hospitality before. When I've said in reels all the time, so I've butchered this one. I've said it too much. Like someone asked me for a baby Guinness, and I poured a Guinness into a shot glass. Another time, I was taking literally 5 or 10 Guinness to a table. I'd like maybe 5 on a tray, and it was all businessmen. I was about to put it down, and it was about to fall over all of them because I couldn't carry a tray yet. So I threw it the other way and chucked it all over myself. I was like, 5 more, lads.
See that story that when we got married the day after, so we get married up at Tunbury, so it's really like posh, really posh place. So we're having breakfast the next day, right? Someone ordered a latte, and the waiter came round, and he's got the tray, and I'm bamboozled how this fucking cup of boiling hot coffee is sitting on this tray, because it's literally like leaning tower of Pisa. And then I was like, that's gonna fall. And he goes, nah, I've got it. Guy drops it, right? Saying the worst part. He comes back and goes, I'm so sorry. And it's like this whole fiasco. Clean it up. He goes, I'll get you another one. He's coming. And then we're literally making the joke to the guys, like, don't drop this one. He goes, I'll try, no, drop this one. Drops it. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, no one ordered any lattes. I was sitting there going, I could do a nice latte, actually. I quite fancy a nice latte. But that happened twice. And I'm sure the third time, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, but the third time, the guy had spilled it again. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? The guy just kept spilling it. So that's so traumatized.
That's what I'm like. I can't carry trays.
I've heard of one of the coffee cups.
Oh, mate, that was hilarious. Bad. Yeah, that was really bad. I basically just dropped, I've told that in the podcast before, dropped like 20 of them, went back, dropped 20 of them again. I think the bit I missed out though was I went back, tried to get through the double doors again, because it was a double doors. I was basically carrying them, but then double doors was making me have to change my hands, and then that's when I was dropping them. But as I went back, I gave up on the whole idea of getting the coffee cups. I was like, that's a dream. And as I opened the doors, like my manager came down from downstairs just to like a pile of smashed coffee cups, and I was like, he'd just hired me. I was like,
you picked your man.
Alright, mate? Fucking horrible. But what I done again, another stupid thing. I think I remember in primary school, like, I just used to overthink the stupidest things. Like, see if my piece, I remember like my primary 7 teacher was really strict, and she would ask me, like, can you go to like the P4 class and just like go up to the back of the room and pick up these jotters for me or whatever. And I remember just overthinking all of it. Just, I mean, like, did she mean the back or did she mean the side and did she mean these jotters? Did she mean the, do you know what I mean? I remember always overthinking things like that, and I was still the same when I was in that. And that's what makes you do stupid shit. Yeah. And I was in that bar job, and there was like a roast dinner, but you had to type in the type of meat they wanted so they could have beef or gammon or roasted something else. So you had to type it in along with it. And for some reason, see because gammon sounds the same as salmon, I thought they were spelled the same. So I wrote in gammon.
Galmon.
With an L. And the chef just came out, honestly, about 10 seconds later, just going announcing it to the full restaurant and the full of the staff that had just met me for the first time, basically. What the fuck is Galmon, mate? And I was like, gammon? Same as salmon?
That's hilarious.
And I got tortured for that. Bear in mind,
you can't live that one down.
Dropped all the Guinness, smashed 40 coffee cups. We had new coffee cups because they were, all of them were white, and we had to get black ones because the white ones were sold out, and I smashed all of them. So we actually had to like get new cutlery for everyone. And then what the Galman thing and the baby Guinness thing, everyone knew that business well, because it was it was like a regular that I'd done the baby Guinness thing to, so she told everyone. It still gets me every time I see Gavin, I get triggered. What I wanted to ask you is, I was actually watching one of your podcasts before I came, because when I prepped for you, I'd literally would have went through both you and James's Instagram, so I'm like, I'm not really going to have anything else to ask him down that sort of route. So you were talking about how, I think you were saying you were in a bit of a rut since the wedding. Mm-hmm. What's that been like?
So I think fitness.
And you got married like 3-4 months ago?
I got married in May, yeah. So I think motivation behind training, it's like the one day that your pictures last for life. So there's a wee bit of a subjective matter behind it of obviously what I look your best and what I feel my best as well. So that was,
I mean, if you can't get motivated for your wedding day, you're fucked.
like what else? And it doesn't. It's a real fine line, because I remember leaning out for my wedding, and I was 10 or 12 weeks out from the actual wedding day, and I was treating it like a show prep, what I would do before, maybe not to the same extent, but a healthier version of it. And I put a picture up, and I was like, 10 weeks to the wedding, I'm going to start cutting, and I was shredded, and I had a good block of abs, and I was pretty lean. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, that's not a fucking good message to put out, because I was going to document the journey of at what point does chasing an aesthetic look get unhealthy. So felt like I felt the best I ever felt on my wedding day and on my honeymoon. I didn't have as much body dysmorphia as what I have done in the past, even though I've been leaner in the past, if that makes sense. Then since we came back from our honeymoon, the focus has then shifted into the business side of things, growing my coaching business, and then me and James, that was when I met James, and we sort of clicked and wanted to start. I've always wanted to do content. A goal at the start of this year was to start a podcast, but I just didn't know, could I speak on my own for such and such? And then met James, and we were more or less aligned with the same, not the same styles, but I feel like we gel well with that. So there was a lot going on, and just training, motivation. I would go in one time before a client, I was like, right, I'll train today. I've not trained in 2 weeks, and I done dips, and I done dips, pull-ups, 2 sets, and that was my training session. That was literally it. And it wasn't even like proper like compound dips, it was the machine. I just sat in the machine and I was like, fuck it, that'll do. So that's how like random my workouts were. And I tried to apply a wee bit of logic to it, like, right, let's get movements in where I'm taking my joints through full range of motion. But I struggled really, mainly because I was like, well, why am I training just now? And I lost the spark of training for my health, because it makes me a better person, it makes me better in my relationships, and it gives me more energy back into my day. And it's lo and behold, like, my low back is feeling tighter, and all these are like little joint niggles that just naturally happen when you're not exposed to like the type of training that I would normally do. So try to get back into the swing of things. I think we then had Croatia, so I had another holiday coming up, and
How was that?
I mean, Croatia's amazing. It's probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
I've done Hvar and Split. We were trying to go to Dubrovnik, but the times didn't line up. But Split was average, but Hvar was unreal.
Hvar's the most beautiful place ever.
Yeah, Hvar was class.
So we done
Did you go Hula Hula?
What's that again?
The little bar on the beach.
Where you get the ferry or the little boat?
No. It's actually on Hvar or on the little town.
Oh, it's
just on the edge.
That.
Oh, that's class.
I know where you are. It's right all the way around. Aye, I do. So we never
about 10 hours in there.
Did you? Hvar is definitely somewhere I go back. Done Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik was cool. Got a ferry over to Hvar, 2 days in Hvar, and then we done Split and flew home from Split. But Hvar still tops it. I would go there. Like, we got off the ferry. Our Airbnb was amazing in Hvar, and then we couldn't check in till the afternoon, so we just put our stuff down and see, just as you get off the ferry, just down a bit, we just camped out there, put the towels out, and I was jumping in the sea, like me and my mate Sam, who were there, were just jumping out. It was class. But even for that, I just wasn't in a good space or in the right headspace to go, because typically you go on holiday and you're like, right, my top's going to be off, I want to look a certain way. This was the first time I never really had that.
Was work and stuff going well?
Work was going well, but it was, know that it was overwhelming. Like, it was a lot. I was pushing north of 40 sessions, in-person sessions, and online aspect. And then I was trying to do some other stuff with content creation. That's a good bit of time consumed on that. And I wanted to try and get a post out every day. And I was doing all these different things. And then I don't know why I decided, like, all right, this isn't enough for me. I'm going to then pursue other aspects. I'm like, you know what? I'd like to get financially stable, so property seems to be a good thing to do with that, so I'll tap into the property side of things. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Why can't I not just PT people and just be happy with that? Cut that down. But I'm very, like, I know I'm it's a byproduct of my own behaviours, but I am driven to, like, see things, but that's also, I feel like I've got ADD because I'll focus on one thing and then I'm like, oh, but I can do this over here as well. So I think my mind has been so busy that I was quite happy for training to take a back seat for a good few months.
I think I get that. Is it SAD syndrome? Or is it SAD? Winter depression, basically?
Yeah.
I think I get that. Because I've seen it's been the last like 3 or 4 weeks. I just can't hammer work every single day. And I do work a lot. Like, I do, not that I outwork you or anything, because I don't, but like we both, like, will work hard. We're just that type of person.
Yeah.
And like, maybe like once every 6 months I'll just get hit with a brick but not anything happens. It's just like one day I'm just like, I can't do any of this.
Yeah. It's so I used to manage various different teams when I was in BT and Openreach, and I had a few people who would get signed off for SAD and they have to have shorter hours because of that. But
is that what it is? So it's a genuine thing. Someone just said that you probably have that, because I think I get it. I used to move away every winter. I used to just fuck off.
I'm always on the fence with these type of things, because I wonder, like, why do we have to label everything? But then again, I guess it explains what's going on. I don't think we're alone. I think naturally coming into winter time, this is where people don't move more. They move less, it's darker nights, and then it just becomes harder to do. Like, the sun's not out, I think there's quite a lot of data
and you don't socialise and stuff.
Exactly. If anything, like, the social occasions are like, it's more a given that you need to get rat-arsed on Christmas parties and stuff like that and full send it. But and then the other part is also the financial aspect. I feel everybody's trying to please everyone when it comes up to Christmas, and there's all these presents getting exchanged. I think there is an element in that where people put so much stress into that factor. That's
not what I get. Well, maybe honestly, me and my dad got each other nothing. Maybe
it's not. Well,
nothing.
Maybe it's not. I would love to just go, right, let's not do Christmas.
You just don't do it. Everyone hates that. Like, see, every girl I've ever spoken to is like, oh, so like, what are you like with Christmas? And it's like any other day to me. Just you wouldn't know it's Christmas in our house.
Would you not?
No, you wouldn't have a clue.
I think there's an element of getting family together and all that, but it's
90% of my family are fucking crackpots.
I jump on that as well. But I don't think it's hard. Like, I think you need to kind of go back to your roots, because this is what we were talking about on that episode, was why is it that you train? And the reason I was training and why motivation was high at that point, or discipline was more to the fact that my discipline was more in tune on the lead up to my wedding, because it was only going to happen on that day regardless. That day could not move unless something bizarre had happened. So nothing was going to sway for me. So I had to kind of ask myself, and I've challenged myself since I've got back, is right, I want to move maybe let's start with a workout. Start with one workout. Just tick that off for 1 week, and I'll do a full body routine, and then I'm good, because I'm not really caring about building tremendous amount of muscle. I feel like I'm in good shape, and I just want to feel good, and that's a part of that. Personally, I like it when, I don't know, like you're in a sort of shape where you get compliments and stuff like that. It kind of feeds the ego a wee bit.
Yeah.
And when you're feeling better, it's like why girls put on makeup and stuff, they want to feel good. Not too many guys talk about it, but I'm like, you know what, I feel
why do we not talk about stuff like that, right? Because I was telling my client about this the other day. I basically got to do social experiments when I worked in a bar, like genuinely with, say, attractiveness, right? And every time I bulked, so the bar would be, it was a really busy bar. It's called, anyone that's in Australia, it's called the SP in Melbourne. You'll know what it is. If you're anyone in Australia that lives in Australia will probably know what it is. They don't need to be from Melbourne. It's like really famous and like loads of concerts and all that. I've been there. And but the bar that I worked on would be like 10 people working behind the bar, and it'd be a long one,
right.
And then it'd be like 5 to 10 people deep, like the full night. So you're serving people like non-stop, and you're also working next to people. And like, see, every time I bulked, as I got to the end of it, just say, like, I usually sit somewhere between 77 and 90 kilos and just float up and down. See, as soon as I started going north for like 85, I could just see I wouldn't get any looks from any girls, or like very, very rarely. Like, see, when you're doing it for 10 hours, it's one of those things you don't even know that you're doing it, but you're subconsciously going, I can see her looking at me, I can see her looking at me.
Yeah.
And then like after 85, I'm like, I can see fucking nobody looking at me. I must be becoming, and then I must be getting fat. And see, as soon as I would start cutting, as soon as I went under 83, I would get like a genuine, like, as soon as, because I don't know if it's subconsciously as well as like when you're seeing yourself, because I've noticed when I get a little bit leaner, my posture starts getting a bit better, but I think I'm subconsciously getting a bit more confident, and I start like, you've got stronger strides, you're just more, I just feel good in myself. So it's like all playing into each other. And then like I'll go under 83, and I remember like 2 girls just randomly giving me their number in the bar, and I'm like, there is actually something to, like, I've been it's a snowball effect.
It is. And probably this is where it can be a wee bit toxic, but there's definitely an element there that when you're, because I'll tell you from being in a relationship for 10 years, so there'll be times where I have taken my bulk and I've got 2 in the heavy side. I'm not feeling myself. I don't want to have sex. I'm like, what's the fucking state of it? And that's more an internal problem that I have, but I know I'm not alone with that. But
it's also natural. You can't stop it too much.
And it carries over to your daily things. Like you've got that, you're seeing a version of yourself that maybe wasn't there before aesthetically. It doesn't really change the person you are, but psychologically, I think there is an element of you ain't as confident with your conversations. You're subconsciously like shying away from things because you're trying to like fix the right angle or whatever it is. And when comparing that state to when I've been in shape, they are two other ends of the extreme. But when you're in shape, you're like, I'm feeling it.
And that's not even like I'd be nowhere near abs. I just would not be repulsive.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like, is it like there'll be an element where you get adding body fat on and then becoming obese. Obviously that's a very dangerous line. I don't know how far close you get to that obesity stage, if you would even get that, because if it's a bulk, then really you shouldn't be getting that.
I'm not obese. I just don't look not nice.
But
my jawline goes, and that's me. See, when my jawline goes, I'm fucked. I've got nothing to offer you.
But on both sides of the spectrum, men and women, we're attracted to certain qualities, aren't we?
Willy.
Stretched Willy.
It's like milking. You can imagine Stretch Armstrong. That's what it looks like down there.
Just hangs low.
You can actually swing you and pull you towards me.
Indiana Jones. But there is qualities in men, and you can hear the slap. But qualities in men for sure. I think there's like leanness and big arms, but chest, back, like define big, I guess, is at a different scale. But when you feel that you're fitting into that category, and like you said, you start getting compliments and noticed more, then that's what kind of gives you the motivation to kind of go more.
It was the exact same so me and one of my mates, we used to busk all the time doing freestyle. I was telling you that. Well, I told that story on my Instagram. And we used to literally get a skin fade the day before we were going to busk. And if we'd been going to the gym feeling quite good, we would make more money.
Yeah.
Like way more money, he'd be like, just like his advice would always be get a skin fade, get a good night's sleep, and get in there early, and then like you just when you feel better in yourself, everything goes better. It's your confidence. It's just the way you, because it's definitely like I was 90 kilos 10 weeks ago. I'm now sitting at 84 again, and again I feel way better. Yeah.
Just because of the changes.
I wasn't going on any dates or anything. I told you I was abstaining from girls. That was probably have to do with the fact I was overweight.
Yeah. So I think there's obviously a massive psychological component in that I don't think we really know much about, but it plays into that maybe vicious circle, into it, because then you go one extreme, then the other, then back and forth, and then you're like, right, I like how I feel when I'm in this state. So that's ultimately the state that you.
I'm gonna get out of the bulking and cutting thing after this one. I think this will be my last rodeo, and then I'm done, and just take it really seriously, and then I'm finished. I think.
Yeah.
Because it can get quite toxic, can't it? If you if you do it too much, and you're still because you can change a fair amount, but it's not that big.
No, I think the main thing is I'm at the point just now where I want to feed myself optimally to carry out the lifestyle
and just
that I'm
feel
doing.
good and work good.
Yeah, and that's why I'm big advocate. I know functional strength, that's a fucking phrase that seems to be getting tarnished a wee bit, and it's one that I like to use, but when I'm saying it, it's more the carry over to everyday activities. So if I've not deadlifted and done full range of motion deep ass squats and things like that, then I know other little small problems, because I'm only carrying my body through a certain range of motion through every day. So I'm not taking it to the extreme ends, because there's going to be an occasion where James is trying to run me down with his motor, or we need to explosively jump, or we have a slip on the stair, or whatever it is. That element's going to come at some point.
I've been starting to do 2 5k runs a week, because Michael done a 5k the other day, and he's convinced that he can beat me. So if we have 6 months in me, I will spank him a run.
So you two seem very competitive. That's how.
Yeah, but it's stupid. It's like, see that? It's like, I can't beat him at anything to do with a racket. I just can't beat him. Right. But see, anything to do with either your feet, like football, I'm way better than him at football. And anything to do with running, no matter what distance it is. Like when I was 90 kilos, that was the first time he was ever lighter than me. And he was like, but you're slowing it. Because we always do like a 50 metre sprint and just see who's faster, because I'm way faster than him. I was like, right here, right now, I've had 4 pints.
I'll beat you.
That lamppost, I still beat him. And I was like, how can you think that you'll ever beat me in it?
Not a
and
chance.
I'm better at longer distances. Like, I'm way better than you. Like,
you're here, I'm here.
I was like, and it's so funny the way people convince themselves as well. And so, like, his fastest 5k is like 23 minutes, and mine's is 19:30. I'm like, Michael, that's 4 minutes.
That's
4 minutes.
You
will never beat me. But so I'm just.
He's going to race.
I want him to. Like, the thing is, I want a bulk, but I would actually love to be 10 kilos heavier on him and still spank him on it.
What is the reason to bulk? Just now, just try to add muscle.
I'm a very small personal trainer.
This is an interesting topic, isn't it? Do you need to be in shape to some extent to be a personal trainer?
Well, I'm in shape. I can probably RDL more than most personal trainers. Most personal trainers can bench press more than me. Like, I'm strong in some areas, really weak in others. And it's just the pressure of the fitness industry, isn't it?
Aye, I know.
I probably wouldn't be as arsed if I wasn't a personal trainer. But
I know. I think you're always self-judging yourself as well.
You can't help it, but I'm like, mentally I'm in a good place, and I do find it fun. And like, the more, see, because I don't think I have the best genetics for lifting, but I feel like because of that, I think I know way more about strength and I do I'm getting, this year's the strongest I've got this year, and it's the most muscle I've put on.
Yeah.
So I feel like
it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
It's not a fluke.
So I feel like it's good because it's teaching me a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm still wanting to do it because it is teaching me fucking loads. Like, I would just go in and like get stuck on bench and just keep trying to grind out an extra rep, whereas now I'm doing 5-3-1, basically doing 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 step forward, 1 step back. I would have never done that before. They just got stuck for months.
Yeah, rather than kind of switching up and that. That's the biggest lesson I've learned over training for the last 10 years is I was always married to the chest day, back day, arm day. As soon as I moved away from that, this is how I do my programming. I call them foundational days. Now, some clients I'll have a posterior chain day or a specific day to a part that they're looking to achieve. But for the most part, the clients who are just in and just want to feel good and lose a wee bit of weight and get stronger and just have better carry over to their life. I call them foundational days because there's a little bit of logic to the types of exercise we do, but if you had to look at that workout plan, you'd be like, what is that? Is that an upper day? Is it a lower day? Or is it a full body day? Because it transitions well, and I've tried to shift that mindset for myself so I don't get so hyper focused on one thing.
Yeah.
However, when James is sitting there pulling fucking 230, he's like, what can you do, bitch? And I was like, I done that. He's like, when? Try it, go for it, do it. So there's always can you not do that? No, I done 230 a long time ago.
Right.
I've not done it since, and my argument was, you wear a belt and you wear wrist wraps.
Is
I
that
don't.
why the videos coming?
So that's why we done that. However, the other day he just put some chalk on, had his belt on, and he fucking
I'm
ripped
going to
off the
send
floor.
Michael a message saying set a date for like a park run and we'll pay for it. And I will be 10 kilos. I'll give you the advantage of being 10 kilos lighter than me. I'll put on weight.
Let's try it.
I'll get no birds numbers for 6 months.
Do something a really big forfeit. But me and James, because he does that, and I'm like, right, now the Thor challenge, I don't know if you see me post that in the stories the other day, but
I'm not sure.
So you grab the barbell,
Oh,
lift
yeah,
the
seen
thing,
it,
you
yeah.
lift it up, and it came up on our Instagram, and I was like, that's, I don't know why I see people do this. He goes, that's fucking hard to do. And I was like, what? No, it can't be. So we went out to the gym and he tried it, and I was like, oh fuck, maybe it is hard. And I picked it up off the floor and he's like, what the fuck?
Did you manage to do it?
I managed to do it. 2 other members then came up and done it, and it was only James who couldn't do it. The next day I'm talking to it about one of my clients, and James is there, and I was like, you couldn't fucking lift it. And my client goes to do it and she shifts it a wee bit, and I seen James's face, he's like, no, let me at it again. He done it, he did do it that time, to be fair. But with now those curved sprinters, we were at one at the weekend, and he was like, I think I can run faster than you. Yeah, you can run fast.
I love this. That's so good.
So he runs on it and he gets 22.3 kilometres. And I 22.
Is that just how fast he can get up?
How fast it? So that's what we're saying. Who can get the fastest speed on what that's recorded?
What do you get?
Whether it's accurate or not. So I was like, I've not done this in ages. I couldn't even tell the last time I sprinted. And I done it. I got 28, and he's like, let me try again. He gets 22 again. He's like, how the fuck did you do that? I was like, just better than you. Just better than
28.
28 was what I got.
And it's in trim 24.
No, this one was then in
Where is
24. It's up in Airdrie.
Okay, I'll be there.
So we'll get you down. We'll send competitions. Like, what are you doing this month? 5k one. Like, well, the one thing I've not done in a long time is get into longer distance running.
It was the best training I ever done through lockdown.
I
Like,
remember
the most fun I've ever had.
When I first discovered your profile pop up on Instagram, I remember going back and seeing, I think it's like a story highlight,
yeah.
and I remember going through that.
That was when because I was trying to get into posting. So I wasn't trying to help anyone. I was just like in the habit of posting every day. Yeah, just 5Ks because it was lockdown. I hated training in the house. It was
I think I like Jeff Syatt's stuff. Jordan Syatt, sorry. I like his stuff because he's going through an endurance type of training just now. And it kind of made me question, like, I don't like running, but it's the reason I don't like it is because I'm shit at it. So I'd like to kind of test the waters a little bit. Well,
that's what it was like. I don't even think I'd ran 5k before. I'd done runs, but 5k is just a number I used to run like 2 or 3 miles. I think 5k is near 3 miles anyway. So I actually ran one just without any training, done it in like 23, 45 or whatever, which is just like average, but it's not shit, but it's not good. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to do this.
I done running in high school. That's how I started, but I was a twig, and we done Strathclyde Park, and I don't know what the outer circle.
I think everyone around anywhere within a 20 mile radius.
St Andrew's Hospice run.
Yeah.
I done it, and you know what I'm talking about.
On a Sunday. Every year we had to do it.
I don't know. There's only one that stuck out to me. And I'm running, and I'm at the front pack with all the other schools. And there's like 7 or 8 years, and we're running. And there's one girl that was with us as well. I was like, fair play, she's keeping up. So we get to the first or the last bit of the length before you turn round. It's the home run, and we all look across the water, and there's this one fucking maniac miles in front of us. He done it in 15 minutes. Connor McCann, I think his name was. And everyone goes like, who the fuck's that? And we're running. I was like, fucking hell, what a guy, man. But I managed to do that in like 17 or 18 minutes. Class. And that was me at my peak running. I was 5th year at high school or whatever. That's been a long time since I've been back in.
You could if you actually trained though, because I bought like a plan stuff. You'll build it up. I think we're nearly ending this time, aren't we? So I'm conscious of running over. Have you got anything you want to plug at all? Because you've now got your own podcast and stuff.
So since last time, kind of finding you, and especially in the Scottish space, and I love all the stuff that you're posting. It's really inspired me and James to do our own thing, and always had so much fun coming on the podcast last time. So it's enjoy it. And we said this on the first episode we ever recorded. It's a bit selfish because we know the more we speak about certain subjects, we can communicate more, if not better, information. The more you communicate a story, then the better you get at speaking about it. So yeah, we.
But you can see you've improved loads since the last time. Yeah.
I was a wee bit. I don't know. See, after it, I was fucked after.
Oh, yeah.
I was supposed to be training clients after, and we got back to Gym 24, and me and James were just, our heads were fried. It wasn't that it was.
You need to concentrate so much. Only when you haven't done them, you need to concentrate loads because you're like overthinking everything you're about to come out your mouth. Everything that's about to come out your mouth.
You don't know what to expect either.
The solo ones are really hard, mate. I don't like doing them.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you're here because the last two I've done were solo, and it's so hard.
Well, so no doubt. So since we'll have 10 episodes recorded by. 10 episodes kind of posted, and that's the plan. So we've made a page and joint venture together called Bulletproof Mindset. On Instagram it's Bulletproof Mindset UK, because some wee bastard that doesn't even use the account is fucking got it.
Oh really?
No followers, no nothing. I was like, bastard.
Class, you should give it a listen. I listened to the motivation one, that was good.
Did you like that one? So yeah, we are releasing 2 episodes a week, and like yourself, we don't want it to always be about fitness. We want to kind of step outside the room.
I've been so scared this full podcast that I hadn't put that handbrake up right in the car.
It just came to your mind.
Yes, I thought about it again.
Well, that'll be interesting once we come out here. But for anyone that's listening, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and then the best place probably to see our posts is Instagram.
And if you haven't already, go in that show notes or the YouTube description down, sign up to that email list, and you can get that plan. And make sure this doesn't drain my bank account anymore. Thank you very much.
GoFundMe page.
Exactly. Just give me money. And my link in bio. Please give me 20 quid.
Love it.
Right. Thank you very much.
No
mate.
problem. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.